Hello, welcome to the program Agric Today on ARCN Television, Abuja, Nigeria. I am Khadija Uluwatoyin. On today's episode of the program, we'll be taking a look at the federal government's plan on food sustainability and safety. Many episodes ago on the program, we talked about food security. Of course, we touched on the sustainability as well, but then the federal government has come out to roll out its plans on how they intend to sustain food and ensure that Nigerians are able to get not just any food, a good quality, and make it to be sustained in Nigeria. And to discuss that with us on today's episode of the program is the Dean of Faculty of Agriculture in the University of Abuja, in the person of Professor Akim Oyerinde. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, the moderator.
Okay, we've heard just before the last administration left office, we've been to your office, I'll say twice or thrice, as regards sustainable plans where governments can look at in areas of ensuring that there's food for Nigerians. And some of these things you highlighted are things that the federal government actually came out just a week ago by President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu came out to roll out ways in which is going to ensure that food sustainability comes to stay in Nigeria when it comes to the agricultural sector of the economy. So far, what do you think?
The basic fact remains that if there is no food, there will be no future and there will be no human being. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, immediately in his first week in office, saw the essence of having quality food on the table of all Nigerians. And quickly, he gathered the experts to have discussion and to take up on how can we have food for our Nigerian populace. We have an estimated population of close to about 250 million people. That demography is highly risky because Nigeria constitutes about 1/3 of African population. And if you are thinking along that line, it means there's a projection that by 2050 will be the third largest population in the world. That will be clocking about 450 million. So it means that there must be a deliberate effort by government to tame and produce food for this geometric progression in population growth. So when the government came in, the government understand that most Nigerians are hungry, and an hungry man is an angry man. So it means there must be food on our table, and there must be quality food that will facilitate the growth and facilitate good health and facilitate having a population that will be healthy. So the government rolled out some plan within that phase to assist the farmer as well as to roll out some commodities and get that to the rural populace as well as the urban area. The major thing about agriculture is anybody that look down on agriculture will end up losing the strength of his populace. So the new dynamic now is no more the concept of food security, because the sustainable development goal number 2 have been endangering, have been hammering on has been food security. But the new dynamic shows that when you have food, what type of food are you having for your populace? Is it qualitative food? Is it balanced diet? Is it food that will sustain the character and the class of our population? You have the elderly, you have the young ones, you have the people that are at the middle, the intermediary, within that. Each and every one of them have different specific food that will support their growth. So that's one. The second thing is that there is what you call high competition between us and the livestock now. The same grain we want to eat, the same maize, masara, and a host of dawa, and a host of other things that we want to eat, maize, sorghum, millet, wheat that we want to eat, is the same commodity that our livestock need as food. Let me give you a classical example of maize. In compounding feed for the poultry, that's whether the quail birds, whether the chicken, and a host of other, you must factor in the issue of the quantum of what is the metric ton of maize that is available. This same maize is what we use to do our domestic cooking. We have that. We have varieties of each of millet, sorghum, and a host of others. That even the distillery that are producing malt, beer, and a host of other things use the same commodity. You have cassava. We are competing with the livestock in cassava, because the same cassava is what they use to produce cassava feed, cassava flour, and a host of other things that industry, even pharmaceutical industry, use in producing drugs for us. So it means that we are talking about having a cycle of where the human wants are insatiable, and we have to satisfy the demand by all facets of organism or all facets of man or livestock that we have in the world. Nigeria in particular now. So it means now we are now talking about having food sustainability, having food availability, and having safe food for both the human populace as well as the livestock. So we are really in a pandemic situation that warrants the government to quickly swing into action and provide as quick as possible to save the emerging danger. As we are talking, in about a month thereof, there was the advent of quail birds in Kebbi that destroy hectares of rice in Kebbi. The quail birds, they are migratory birds. They came in, they destroyed so many farms, so many hectares of land, that they destroyed the rice vegetation. These are the rice that we are waiting for to eat. These are the rice that we are thinking of the stofa or the waste to serve as animal feed. So it means that we are in a world where everybody is now competing for food. So that is what brought out the government to quickly think that outside the box, because the tradition of what we do before is to say we want to put input, assist farmer, although most of the input to give to them, most of the time when they give the input are outside the growing season. You see some of the input we get to them when they are about doing dry season farming. So there are, and like what I usually say on most of the program is that we should stop this issue of rain-fed agriculture. We are in this problem, we are in this calamitous situation because we only rely on rain-fed agriculture in Nigeria. When we have land, we have acreage of land, we have the water resources. What we are still talking about is still the green economy. We've not talked about our resources that are in our water, which is the blue economy, where you talk about the fish, the crabs, the lobster, and also of other things that are in our river, stream, ocean. We are so blessed. But we have not even talking about the situation where you talk about, are we harvesting rain? What we keep talking about is that, hey, the flood, the rain was too much, flood is destroying everywhere. Have we provide a situation where we can harvest those water and store them for dry season production? Indonesia, Malaysia, so many countries are doing it. But instead of that, we'll wait until that runoff carry, and it will now end up becoming flood, destroying homes, destroying houses. One of my postgraduate students is working on what can we do to take advantage of the floodplain for growing crop after the water recedes. That's his own PhD work that we are working on now. Because the concept of waste to wealth now is what we are doing in the world. There's nothing called waste in agriculture again. So, which means the concept is, if we now have our agric engineer, our hydrologist, and a host of others, that we now have a concept of harvesting those water and storing them. When you go to Egypt, the Shadrof system in Egypt, take that concept. Egypt doesn't have rain the way we are having it. But when the Nile pass through the place, they arrest it, they harvest the water, they use it for dry season production. Before we can have sustainable food production, safe food production in Nigeria, we must crop, we must plant throughout the year. If we're able to do that, that will give us the mandate, that will give us the opportunity to now have storage. I said that it's not new. In the Quran and the Bible, we talk about the story of Joseph or Yusuf. The story of Joseph or Yusuf tells us that he said, so years there will be bounty, so year there will be scarcity. We store for the scarce period. We can use that. That is the concept of farming throughout the year. If you're able to farm throughout the year, you now have the concept of enough commodity, enough produce that you can add value to store over a while, so that during the off-season, for most of the commodity, although in agriculture I don't believe in the concept of having off-season, but let's say we are still progressing, we are still growing, we can still do the old concept of having off and on season. So if during the off season we can capitalize on those ones that we have stored, that we have add value to, and now sustain the economy. So if we're able to do that, we'll be able to feed. No matter what will be our population, there will always be food on our table. Because the danger now is that people are saying the prices of commodities are skyrocketing. The prices will go up because the law of demand and supply that we learn when we are in secondary school is still there. The more the supply, the lesser the price. The less the supply, the more the price. So that's the normal economic theory that each and every one of us should know, that there's no way we can go off that. So it means that if we don't go back to basics and now have a medium of storing during the main season, we'll continue to have hiking prices. And the funniest aspect of it is that when there is glut, that means during the production season, most of the farmers sell at loss. But immediately is the dry season. Those that have the capacity to store for a while. The capacity does not mean gigantic structures. I don't know. The indigenous technology, the means, you are just talking about the post-harvest knowledge on how you can manage your commodity. Okay. Those are the people that make so much money from agricultural product. Apart from the biotechnology concepts, there are emerging trends in agriculture now. That's why when people talk about a student reading Agric, people will look down on the student because they did not know what is in the study of agriculture. The study of agriculture is so big that has over 100 disciplines. But if people come to, most of the time when parent comes to me, I want to change my child to agric economics, I want them to be economists, to be this, most of the time I will laugh. I said, no, I'm not saying they should not be agric economists, but an agric economist will economize crop, economize animal or livestock, and economize what? The fishery or aquaculture. That's so you cannot economize what you don't know. You cannot extend as an agric extension, you cannot extend what you don't know. Now the concept, that's why the NUC developed the concept of having the first degree as Bachelor of Agriculture as far back as 1985. That it should be a general agriculture, so that any graduate of agriculture, whether you are in extension, whether you are in economics, whether you are in dairy, whether you are in horticulture, wherever you are, when you graduate after your 5 years, you should be a master of every field of agriculture. So if we have that concept, we are now talking about being able to manage whatsoever aspect of agriculture that you are introduced to. So the fact remains that the use of biotechnology and emerging tools, where you talk about or emerging techniques, vertical farming, farming in bags. We've seen people that are farming, even planting yams in bags. We've seen tissue culture. We've seen greenhouses, screenhouses. So there are all these new techniques. Those are the ones that we must adopt to produce throughout the year, because they don't take large hectares of land to produce. What you just need is to have a functional borehole, good manure source, good water source, and you now have a way that you can restrict the pests and diseases from coming in. So you can, at the same time, with one greenhouse, one can become a millionaire in less than 3 months.
And improve seeds.
And improve seedlings are the input. The fertilizer, most of them we plant them on substrate. Most of them we call it soilless planting. Okay. So it's not, most of the time people, when you talk about planting, they believe you must plant in the soil. No, there are some that we plant on rice husk. There are some on sawdust. There are so many things that science are involved, where you now do the biotechnology option of it, of turning that substrate by adding some organism into it that biodignify it. But this is not for biotechnology presentation. But what I'm saying is, these are what we can adopt. We can adopt every opportunity. And like what I used to say most of the time, we should never forget about the indigenous knowledge. Our traditional people, they've been practicing this agric before us, time immemorial. There are some of the research we did in 2013. We find out in FCT they have 38 plants, different plants that they are using to protect, to do post-harvest, to do planting. That's feed treatment of their plant when they plant it, so that insects will not destroy it. They are the one that they use in storage. So you now see that basically we're supposed to tap those knowledge and now develop those things into those things. That's what they are doing in India, China, and most of other countries. When you talk of ethnoveterinary, ethnomedicine, where you use plant resources together. So the fact remains that the best we can do is to have sustainable production that is throughout the year. The word sustainable, that's why the new goal of the African Union is Sustainable Development Goal. We are not saying you should not produce, but what you are producing, you should make sure that you are not producing in an excess that will be too much waste. It must be sustainable. That was why in Netherlands that they had issue with their government. I was there around about 7-8 months ago, that the government said they should stop production because they are cattle. They are dairy country. They produce milk. That's their major source of income. So they said they should reduce the number of cattle that they have, that the cattle are contributing to the emission of greenhouse gases that is causing climate change. So the populists said, no, if we do this, what are we going to be feeding on? So, but the rest said, no, we are not saying you should not produce, but you should adopt technique where your cattle will not be emitting greenhouse gases. That's methane. Will not be emitting methane that destroy the ozone layer. So it got to an extent that the farmer protested and now turned the flag of Netherlands anti-clockwise. They turned it down to show their protest that they are not happy with that policy of that sustainability. But in Nigeria, we do not even have enough, talk less of talking of excess. So what we are saying is, how can we have enough food for our people?
Let's take a quick break. On return, the program continues. Stay tuned. Welcome back. It's still the program Agric Today, and the discussion has been a focus on federal government plan on food sustainability. And I've been speaking with Professor Akim Oyerinde, is the Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture and the University of Abuja. Thank you for joining us on the program, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
So we've heard, we've spoken so much about the use of biotech and emerging tools and the rest of it. Aside that, what can government do? What's your advice for government in this step they have intended on?
You know, there's no way in life that will not go back to history. Because like what I used to say most of the time is that we lost it out of the oil boom in 1973. In the oil boom, there was this Idoji allowance that was given to civil servants. The same agric money that was used from pre-independent up to our independent to build all our refineries was jettisoned that time. Because people now believe that they now have so much money from the oil, and with that they don't need agriculture again. And the government, the people that are in government as well as the populace, did not know that the oil will dry. Whether we like it or not, the oil will dry. Even if the oil doesn't dry, the world is now going into the use of resources that will not cause climate change, because that will not cause the emission of gases that will destroy the ozone layer. So we are now talking about alternative source of energy now. That's what the world is doing. So it means that with time, our oil will not sell again. We must be prepared for that. So, but God is so marvelous on us that if oil doesn't sell again, the farm commodity will still sustain the sales, whether for man or for his livestock or for the industry. So that time we lost the trajectory by neglecting the practice of agriculture, and with that everybody left their villages and now came to town. That's a massive rural urban migration, and people are now looking for white and yellow and brown collar job that is not available. So majority of people leave the resources that their parents even used to train them in school, in university, polytechnic, college of education, and a host of others. They left it. They did not see anything good in those things that their parents are doing. Most of them now came to the city. They are roaming the streets. No job. They became touts, became menace, became problem within the phase of the community. So the fact remains that for us to get it right, we have to go back to the basis. We are an agrarian country. Okay. We have to go back and now look at which commodity is my community having competitive and comparative advantage.
On this note, we'll be wrapping it up on the program. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.